Ah, shit, my phone's going beep, 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 beep. Hang on, turn this off. All right, I'm back. My bad, my bad, my bad. So, a lot of talk about the Freedom Convoy. The Freedom Convoy, they're calling it. Drive your truck to one place and we all stop up traffic, and that's fighting for freedom, they say. Everybody's praising these guys, acting like what they're doing is a big deal. Look what they've done and how much they have gotten accomplished through peaceful protest, nothing more than parking, filling up the streets, blocking other people from living their lives free. People forget about that. They are stopping some people who wish to go to work, to live their lives for their freedom. And as soon as it was said that Quebec would roll back the vax tax, people looked at it as if it was just some great miraculous miracle thing. And these patriots, I hear that being thrown around a lot about talking about these Canadian truckers. Now, do I agree with what they're doing? Yeah, I think that it should be done in a different way. But here's the problem: it's not going to do anything. Well, they roll back the vax tax. Yeah, and as soon as the truckers leave, guess what they're going to do? They're going to re-implement it, knowing that they're not going to come back a second time. We have Trudeau on the run. No, you don't. He ain't running nowhere. He took a vacation. He used it as an excuse to go hang out for a couple of weeks at his lake house or some shit. He just put out a press release 2 days ago. There wasn't nothing sick about it. They're saying his family, saying his kids tested positive for COVID. Regardless, though, you don't give a shit. All those politicians are sitting in their office, looking out their window, laughing at the truckers wasting millions of dollars, I'm sure, and just fuel idling those trucks. I mean, you figure a semi, idles probably at a gallon, and a half of fuel an hour at $4 a gallon. There's how many trucks? Now, the Canadian government, GoFundMe shut down their $10 million GoFundMe. Canadian government's filing a suit trying to seize that money to use it for what they're calling, what they call it, basically public safety. Well, it cost us millions of dollars to have police presence and all this bullshit. So we want the money for that. I mean, it's unfortunate. I am the least violent dude in the world. Like, I do not fucking like violence. I've seen, and it's not because violence bothers me. It's not because I cannot be violent. It's because I've seen enough violence in my life. I was unfortunate enough to live a life where on the street doing shit I should have been doing, or being locked up in prison because of the shit I shouldn't have been doing, or just because of some bullshit. I just kind of look at prison like, this is for what I didn't get caught for. Peace doesn't come to men who go park the trucks in the middle of the road. Being government is not going to leave people alone because they fear us all fucking getting together and organizing and go parking downtown. Unfortunately, government only understands one thing. That's it. They understand one language, and it's brute force. And if it wasn't for, and we've been taught to believe that all these things, like, oh, fuck me, sausage ice, didn't realize it. We've been taught to believe that certain things that are a necessity for freedom, they must happen in order for you to be free, are bad. You hear it all the time now. Peaceful protest, peaceful this, peaceful that, peaceful this. Let's not bring our Confederate flags. Let's show solidarity and peace. Why is that? Why is peace been pushed so hard? Do you think it's because your government gives a fuck about you? No. It's because they want you to believe that peace is the only way, so you will not act out in violence against them. 100%, that's the reason. You know, I've said it before. Freedom has a specific price. It's been the same price since the beginning of mankind, since before even governments existed. Those who want to be free have to have the will to die and the will to kill. You have to You know, it's blood and lives. That's the price. You have to be willing to accept that payment, that price, and you have to be willing to pay it. Meaning you have to be willing to be violent and have violence acted out on you. Violence. Kill or be killed. People don't want to accept that. And I agree with it. But we shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to fucking be that way. Everybody should just be able to live their own lives and shit. But see, it was bad enough when it was just natural. So you just had this many people, and you had fuckhead John over here who liked to steal people's shit, and the community got together and they ran John out of town, or John started missing fingers and shit. Oh no, we can't do that no more. What they do now is they extort us, which is not theft, it's extortion. Yes, extortion is a form of theft, but say what it is. We say theft because we've been trained to say theft. Because theft sounds nowhere near as bad as extortion. Because when you say theft, it's some, burglar in the night that you don't know who takes your shit when you're not looking. When it's extortion, you're looking at the man in the eye who's saying, you're going to pay me or else. And the government doesn't want you to look at them like they're the man who's pointing a gun at you, saying you will pay me or else. They want to look as good as possible. And we see this shit all the time. Like, I firmly believe that these phrases or these terms are injected into our everyday communication to aid in indoctrination. Just like my Second Amendment rights. Who started that shit? Who's the fucking dumbass who's the first one to say that? I would like to meet him. Just so I can call him a dumbass. Now they're people's mad because they seen a Confederate flag on one of these trucks. Like, this is news. This fucking racist who did nothing to no one, mind you, harmed nobody, which happens to be, one of 2 or 3 factors which defines the term racism. Now these truckers are being labeled as QAnon from fucking Facebook. Communist Facebook has the nerve to call this group QAnon followers. It blows my mind when these people aren't even fucking from the United States for the most part. Why would they follow QAnon? QAnon is a Trump derangement thing, It's, oh my God, Trump's our leader. We'll follow him to hell, which is going to happen. He's going to run in 2024. He's going to win. And all these fucking fake-ass patriots, remind me about bootlickers, are going to follow him wherever he goes, and he's going to continue this path to communism. He pushed communism ahead by decades in 4 short years, but people won't recognize it. Why? Let's go, Brandon. That's why. You have bootlickers, fucking bootlickers. I mean, they have leather on their tongue. They have fucking licked the goddamn boot so much. Zombie Fairy. So a couple people sent me a video the other day of Zombie Fairy where he's talking about bootlickers. Like, he's lost his goddamn mind. He's lost his mind. That's all. That's all there is. That's all you can say. Dude, you became a cop. You support the cops. They had this belief that bootlickers are those who support, like, federal agents. You're not a bootlicker if you're a sheriff or support sheriffs. Yeah, you are. If you support the police in any way, shape, form, or fashion in 2022 or 2021, or you did it in 2020, you are a bootlicker. And you start having these conversations with people, and they freak the fuck out. Everybody's a fed now. That's the excuse to bail out of conversation when you don't have an answer. I mean, and there's conversations that you can have that are, recently there was a poll done. And I think they did every state. I don't know how many people they polled or who they polled, but I think it was like 30% of the country believes that violence against government can't be justified. Meaning, if government does some shitty shit to you, you can fuck government up. That's what that means. And people believe that, which in their mind is leading to this civil war. The civil war, like, people believe the civil war, this is what's going to happen because these people believe that violence against government is okay when it's not. Violence is okay against anybody that commits a criminal act against you. And I'm not talking about a criminal act like they're standing in your driveway smoking some weed. No, that's not a criminal act. They're driving down the road drinking a beer. That's not a criminal act. When they fucking plow into your fucking shit, that is a criminal act. When they do it intentionally or unintentionally because they were drinking beer, then that's a criminal act, and therefore then they became a criminal. Or they kick in your goddamn door because you own some inanimate object that they said you cannot own because it is a force multiplier for you against them. Why do you think they don't want you owning full autos? I'll tell you the exact reason why. And this goes back to even the NFA in those days. Well, cops were kicking in doors back then looking for these gangsters. These gangsters were fucking mowing them down on the way in the door. You know, people can pull a trigger fast, but if you only have to pull it one time and that gun will run, 700, what is it, 700, or, I think they run about 700 AR or M16, might be 900. But 900 rounds per minute, those 5 or 6 or 10 dudes coming through your door don't really fucking matter. Not as long as you get it off first. And that's why they don't want you having that shit. Short barrel rifle, why don't they want you having a short barrel rifle? It's no different than a fucking pistol. Oh, they're about to change that shit too. The new rules are going to come out in June, and it's going to be that point system they were talking about. And if I don't know who you, if you're anybody with an AR pistol, you cannot have an AR pistol without registering as an SBR because they say so. Because they say so for no other fucking reason. They can have all this shit to come and kill you for shit so minor, for shit so fucking minor it may not even exist. Because somebody called and said you were suicidal. Yes, that happens all the time. There's videos on YouTube. Look up suicidal man killed by cops. And you will see there's dudes standing on a bridge. There's one guy, actually, who has a gun. He's standing on a bridge. Somebody called and says, hey, this dude's suicidal. He has a gun standing on a fucking bridge. If he was that suicidal, he'd have shot himself or he'd have jumped. So the cops show up. The guy never points the gun at anybody. The gun is pointed at the ground through the entire confrontation. His gun is pointed at the ground. He never points at the cops not one time. And they fucking murdered the dude because he will not put the gun down. What, so cops are supposed to put the guns down when we tell them to? Well, no, Freedom. They have the authority. Says fucking who? Where the hell do I opt out at? I missed that paperwork somewhere along the way. You know, we're now a country that just does as we're told and believes as we're told to believe. Not because it makes sense, not because it's right, because government says so. And remember, the very men who created our government explained to us in great detail what would happen if the people, through force and violence, didn't keep our government in check. Read the Federalist Papers. They were pro-federal government, the Federalist Papers, right? And throughout all the Federalist Papers, over and over and over again, when questions are asked, the reply is the people will pick up arms. What does everybody think they mean by that? You're going to wave your arms in the air and say, I surrender? Fucking highly doubtful. Then you have like these people, man, and it blows my goddamn mind. And I don't even know why I watch this shit anymore. I guess out of boredom. You know, for a while it was funny. It's to the point now it's just not funny anymore. Bjorn, whatever his name is, the Norwegian dude. Bjorn Hansen, I think. What do you guys fuck? I don't know. He makes video after video after video after video talking about freedom. Thought he actually made a video today talking about this Freedom Trucker Convoy, whatever. Yet, in his live stream, you know, and I know this is just one small look into this dude's life. In a live stream, somebody had said something about drugs. He said, no, we should not allow people to drink or do drugs because they act stupid when they do. Bjorn, that's the very same argument is being used against you now. We should not allow people to make their own choices because they make stupid choices. So we should make the choice for them to get this jab. And I mean, I'm just honestly sick of it, man. I'm burnt out on beating the dead horse. I'm burnt out on fucking screw tube telling me what I can and cannot say. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. I made a video the other day repeating exactly what was said from somebody that was fucking there to see it. Somebody that YouTube doesn't even know exists. YouTube took my channel, my video down, the live stream down, gave me a community guideline strike, second one in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. One more, channel's gone. Because YouTube said it was misinformation. Okay? What kind of research did you do, YouTube? Who did you talk to? Did you call AstraZeneca? Would you like me to get my cousin on the phone? Because he is a pretty high paid dude at AstraZeneca. He's literally out of the floor making sure that this shit is made correctly. Did you call him? No, YouTube just decided it was misinformation because it was information that they either A, have never heard, B, and most likely, they don't want you to fucking know. My bad, I'm ready to call it on. That guy of yours is an idiot. It's a good thing. Anti-freedom shit. I still on him and said some good things, but he's also even married to a high-ranking cop. I didn't know he's married to a high-ranking cop. I didn't know that. It's just it's all nonsensical, man. It's just pandering and making people feel better. You know, it's like, but you ain't doing it. Like the other day, somebody had sent a text. They were talking about the freedom convoy and what they're going to do. I said, look, when the motherfucker starts shooting, call me and I will go with you. We'll take a week or two and go do some training together, and I will go with you. But that won't happen. Why? Because we hold this belief that peace is the only way. We don't do what those people do. We don't act out. Like I said, I'm not a violent dude. I just want to be let the fuck alone. I just want to live my life how I choose to live it. Then if I'm not bothering you, meaning violating your rights, you can make the choice to be bothered or not. You can make the choice to be offended or not. There's a clear line for rights violations, and that's where I'm at. Leave me alone. I'm gonna stay over here and do what I do. Nobody's ever going to hear from me ever. Short of making some YouTube videos, but they can't do that. They won't do that because the end game of all government is complete control over the people. The men who created our government said this themselves. Jefferson wrote about it over and over. Madison wrote about it. I even think Alexander Hamilton wrote about it, that piece of shit. And we see it happening before us. What the fuck is your kids' lives going to be like when they're 30 and 40 years old? And it's because we do nothing. Because we look at freedom convoys, dudes in trucks, who the only thing they're sacrificing is their money and time. That's not a real sacrifice if you have it. Because you either have the money to do it or you don't. Show me one trucker that sold a truck to be able to go to that convoy. I would say that's probably a sacrifice. Oh, back to the Confederate flag. I had a dude tell me this morning, I was watching one of the things, I was just reading through and commenting on a couple people's things. The dude told me, I'm anti-freedom or anti-tyranny, 100%. But I in no way can support anybody that flies a Confederate flag. I said, no, what you are is a fucking idiot who spent too much time listening to your third grade teacher rather than digging your nose in books once you became an adult to find out the truth. We live in a country of sick people. sick people. And everybody, for the most part, the 99.9%, suffer from indoctrination and definitely and normally cognitive dissonance along with that. Example, the ones who support cops. Yay, let's support the police who oppress us. And then bitch about what the police do because we can justify it by pointing at, we excuse it by pointing at the politicians, whether they're just doing their job. Well, so is the fucking Gestapo. Do you support them? Do we need another? Is another Gestapo needed in Germany today? What about the redcoats? Do we need the redcoats to come back to the States? I mean, because you support the police, right? They're just doing their jobs. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, if you really want to look at it that way, Al Qaeda just doing their jobs, right? Because there's somebody higher than them giving an order that they're following. But people won't look at it like that. They won't see it that way. Why? Because we've been led to believe Al Qaeda's bad, whether they are or not. It doesn't matter for this conversation. Al Qaeda bad, cops good. Even in small town fucking America, like, listen, this is small town America. There's nothing in this town that can't be handled by the people who live in this town. We went to a Chinese joint the other day when I was sick. I didn't want Christy was sick. I was sick. I didn't want to have to cook. I said, hey, I want to go get Chinese. It's been a few days, a few days since we've been eating anything out. I'm just going to get Chinese. That way you don't have to cook. And we walk in, and there's 3 on-duty cops in their cruisers. Their cruisers are out in the parking lot. They're sitting at a table eating lunch, dinner, whatever together. And this county has 11,000 people in the whole county. I would bet this town has less than 3,000. They need 3 on-duty cops on a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. No, it's not needed. It's wanted. Why? Because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. The chief of police is a power thing. I got to get some LP gas, guys, and I'll try to keep yakking as I'm doing this, but I knew he was coming for LP. Fuck. But it's just dumbfounding, man. It blows my goddamn mind. People need to open their fucking eyes to what's going on, and people need to be called out on their bullshit more than anything. You will never find peace without violence, and it's unfortunate facts. Like I said, I'm not a violent dude. I don't want. I cannot stand violence, man. I've seen more gunshots. I've seen more stabbings. I've seen people bleed out. I actually seen a dude with his intestines partially hanging out of his damn gut. Like that's shit that I don't want to see. Those are memories I don't want. Seeing friends dead, finding friends dead. Those are all memories that I wish that I could get rid of. Like, if I could take 10 years off my life right now to get rid of those fucking memories, I would do it. So, like, I hate violence. But what do you do when you have no other choice? What's your options when you have no choice? When you've asked nicely, you've written. I mean, our families have been writing letters for generations. Like, quite literally generations. Begging to oh, thank you, man. You could have went first. You went in. That's all right.
Life is difficult enough.
It is. Why is it so difficult? This is a good conversation.
The word why I have thought about a lot. I'm a lyric writer. That's why I consider words.
Right.
There's no answer to why.
There is an answer.
It's why usually has either one answer or an ongoing.
Well, it's not an ongoing one. It's a clear, defined answer why our lives are the way they are. And the reason is because government power corrupts absolutely. Power corrupts absolutely, right? Are you a supporter of the police? You know the redcoats were the British police forces, right? The Gestapo was
was German law enforcement. Cite where in our Constitution we allowed for policing forces. And then if we are free to make the choice, right? We're free, right? Where do I opt out?
Well, that's in writing. Our freedoms are almost dwindling.
Well, they're dwindling because of why? Why really? We can blame the politicians, but the politicians wouldn't do what they did without their enforcers enforcing it. Name one problem you have with government that doesn't involve somebody with a badge. So really what's happening, and I'm not down on you, this is a public thing. We've all been indoctrinated to believe the police are our friends, right?
Well, they're supposed to be.
No, they were never intended to be no more than the redcoats were or the Gestapo were.
I do believe that there's got to be some kind of enforcement, some kind of
You
law.
and me. If you steal from me, I handle that. If I steal from you, you handle that. It's called self-governance. Thomas Jefferson and
Yeah, but
Madison.
there's a lot of people who are not able to.
Well,
defend themselves.
then that is a them problem, and that don't affect me. That don't affect me.
Well, it depends what state you live in.
Well,
California,
that has nothing to that is
You only have the right to go out and call the cops. You can't handle it. And you
so
have-
because you can't feed yourself, should be a me problem. That's not freedom. Because you can't defend yourself, that's a me problem. That's not freedom. That's you not making the correct choices in your life to make sure that you can do what you need to do to survive. And that's the problem when we boil down is responsibility and then being indoctrinated to believe that we need government. I don't need cops in my life. So like if I'm free, if I'm supposed to be free as the men who created this country intended, where do I opt out? Where do I opt out of taxation? Where do I opt out of cops? Where do I opt out of all this shit that I don't want or need in my life? Because you need it, that's fine. If you need security, then you can hire. You're free to save up the money and hire security.
You would probably do good on YouTube.
I'm on YouTube right now.
Are you really?
Live stream right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not anti-cop. I'm pro-freedom.
Right.
Right?
I do a lot of YouTube, and I'm one of these conspiracy theorists. I'm a prepper.
So you're somebody that. But here's the all that none of that matters though if you support the very ones who oppress you.
Well, I don't support because I don't believe all of them are contaminated. I don't believe all law enforcement are bad and wrong.
So there's good cops, right?
Good human beings.
So tell me one of those good cops that has arrested a bad cop.
That's rare.
It don't happen. You know why? Because there's no such thing as a good cop. But if you believe there's good cops, you also have to say, well, there's good Gestapo. There's good redcoats. There was good. What was Stalin's police force?
I'm talking about more. When they start out, say they start out corrupted. It's like politicians. They're all going to get corrupted.
No, they don't have to. They choose to. And here's why: because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you was responsible for you, and I'm responsible for me, we don't need them. So like now in California, as an example, they make laws so that you cannot defend your own property, and if you do. And if you do, you will go to jail for doing it. So now who's at fault? So 11.3. All right, thanks, man. Law enforcement has been responsible for every atrocity committed to all societies by their governments in all of history. No, and let me guess, the bad cops are going to be the one filling them up. The good cops are going to be standing around, can't do anything because their hands are tied. No, that's bullshit. That's total bullshit.
So as what's going to come against civil unrest is on the horizon.
But here's the problem. If you're a prepper, but you then also believe we need the cops. Do you need the cops?
I guess that's just a hope. That there'll be a flimsy of that.
So here's what's really happening. The short of it. So we're extorted for our labor, right? You work, you make your own money, you feed yourself. I'm assuming, right? Government extorts you through taxation, right? Somebody with a badge forces you to do that, right? Their law enforcement forces that upon you. That's why it's called law enforcement.
Yeah.
They then take your money, feed the.
But the law enforcement will not be the source of the problem.
Yeah, it is a source of the problem because if the law enforcement didn't execute, but it's not. Government's doing what government does. The people, we're supposed to enforce our Constitution on government through force and violence. That's how that's supposed to be. Go read any of the writings of the founders and you'll see it. Read the Federalist Papers over and over again. The people will pick up arms. You can't pick up arms because of what? Because the cops will arrest you for doing it. right? But anyway, so they tax you to feed the ones that can't feed themselves, who, you know, because we're so free that we need to be a socialist country and feed the ones that can't feed themselves, who then commit 80% of the crime, that then justify the police that then oppress you. We've all been scammed and lied to, man. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I screwed that up. My bad, guys. What was the last thing you seen? Sorry about that. But like you try to talk to people about that. They want it. They want freedom, but they still blame the politicians. Without the enforcement, like cite it. I've been challenging people for years to cite where in our Constitution we allow for police forces. You can't do it. It doesn't exist. Hang on a second, guys.
What can I do for you?
I got 11.3 gallons of LP.
Okay. It's $39.56.
My hands will work. Might be in business. No, that's the wrong one. Like, I just want you to live your life free, man. You know what I mean? And that's all I want. But you can't do that, and I can't do that for the same reason, because there's people willing to take payment to execute the will of other people on us. We're supposed to police ourselves.
$10.44. There's your
You read Madison and Jefferson's writings, they talk a lot about self-governance and what that is.
That is history, and nobody will ever relate to that for what's coming outside.
Well, then, if you can't relate to that, then you can't be pro-freedom.
Well, all those were natural, as much as Martin Luther King or Lincoln.
Well, Abraham Lincoln didn't talk it. Abraham Lincoln was the biggest tyrant we've had in the country. I mean, he made everybody a slave. He didn't free slaves. He made us all slaves. He did. He made us all slaves. But have a good day, man. See, even like that dude. So it's a waste of time talking to them because they're concrete in their belief. Just like him, he's a prepper. He said he's a conspiracy theorist. He said, and It just you can't change their minds. They know, even though I just explained it to them, to give them the short version of it. How are you free when you have no fucking choice? That's not freedom. Well, society we need society. Society. No bullshit. Where do I opt out? How do I opt out? I just want to live my life. And that's the shit you run into, man. And like, you can change minds, but it takes hours and hours and hours of time that most people just don't have anymore. I don't have the time anymore. But that right there, this dude right here that I was just talking to, is a part of the problem. He supports law enforcement. Laws don't matter without enforcement, people. Like, let's break it. Just gonna park right behind me because he's a lazy fuck. Yeah, that's smart. If you just park right there because you're lazy, I should back up and slam him right into his ass. It's not even that big of a deal. Because I can pull around. It's just the point of it. Like, people are just, it's always about me, right? About what I want, what I do, how I act, whatever. It's just frustrating. Like just in the 3 minutes I talked to him, he suffers from indoctrination, very clear, and cognitive dissonance. He's one of those people. You hear him there, Dan? Well, that's history. And yeah, I know it's fucking history. That's why I'm telling you to read it because you obviously haven't. Well, nobody's going to be going for that. I don't give a fuck what people are going for. Are you pro freedom or not? I mean, like, what is this? The men who created the country, like, literally left us directions. Hey, you better do this or this is going to happen. Hey, if you fuck around, this is going to happen. What's he going to do when the cops that he supports comes to his door to take his preps? He's going to hand it over to him is what he's going to do. He's not going to fight because he don't have the mindset to fight. He has the mindset to support. He's the type of dude, just like Zombie Faggot. Zombie Faggot, whatever his name is, Zombie Faggot. If the cops came to him and said, hey, we need your help. We're going to go down here and kill these people and rape his wife and take his preps so that we can survive. He would jump right on board. Just like Zombie Faggot would. They have no fucking natural moral compass. Their compass has been created by the very thing that they say they're against. I need to go the other way. No, I can do that later. Like they have it's a false moral compass. So here's Carhartt right here. The lot's empty today because it was icy out this morning. Apparently, people down here are scared to death. But this lot I went by the other day because you hear all these people that aren't going to do this thing, get the jab because Carhartt mandated it, right? Parking lot was full, packed full. I bet there were 3 parking spots in that parking lot. Why? Because it would involve sacrifice to stick to with what you believe. If people are just unwilling to sacrifice anything. The why is simple. Why? Because people are cowards. Why? Because that's what government does. Why? Because they're paid and they're fucking immoral pricks that have no moral standing. Why? Because it's a nation of fake Christians who will do anything to not have to meet their God. Like, think about that. Really think about that. If God gave you only have so many ways you can believe. God has a plan, right? Everybody believes that God has a plan. Where's God's will? You can't believe in God's will and free will. But God gave us free will. So you have to believe in free will. But you can't believe that when you put government law or government agents over God, like that dude did, you've made government your God. I don't think as many people are going to heaven as that believe they're going to heaven. Maybe all that stuff about being saved and it's everything. Maybe all of it is just about treating others as you would want to be. Maybe it's just the 10 Commandments.
Maybe it's the golden rule. See, that dude's fine and supports cops until the day comes when they come down on him. And then he'll no longer support them. And he will be crying to everybody else who supports cops, why can't you see what is happening? Why can't you see what they've done to me? Why do you still support them after they've done this to me? It's nothing new, dude. They've been doing it since their inception in the late 1830s. Look it up. Look up the word police. Police wasn't a word in the English language until the late 1790s, after this country was already started, after our Constitution was already drafted and signed. Look where the word police came from. It started in England. So what happened? Well, some idiot migrated here and was like, hey, I know how we can pass some of our responsibility off to government, and it will only cost us a half a cent every 6 months. And everybody's like, yay, that's a great idea. No, it wasn't. Every society goes through the same motions. Every society there's ever been has gone through these same motions. Start out as free, collectively come together, build a government. Government then creates laws, needs people to enforce the laws because the people are like, fuck you. So they hire law enforcement. Then law enforcement spends the length of their being committing atrocities against said society when they only exist because the society exists. But back to the original question about the cops, where the fuck will I opt out if I'm so free? I mean, if I need to sign something, I might be willing to sign some shit for that. Or how about I don't sign nothing, I just get left alone. I'm just automatically opted out because I'm free to do as I choose. We can go park our trucks in whatever town USA you want. We can all drive to Ottawa and fucking park around with those truckers. It's not going to change a damn thing. They might pander a little bit and throw some crackers at you and be like, here's a win for you. It's not a fucking win. It's an all or nothing game. We either want everything back that you've taken or we didn't win. I mean, if somebody steals everything you own and they give you your left shoestring back, did you win? No, you didn't win. You're still down fucking everything else that you own. I go buy a set of shoestrings for $2 just the other day. I could have upgraded to the military version once. At least they said, the box said they were military version. They said military on them. They were the same goddamn shoestring. You paid $1 because it said military on the box. So you can be tacked cool. Just, to me, personally, I would be the happiest camper in the world. Even though I would die, and I know I would die. There's no doubt in my mind that if the lights went out today, I would be dead in 6 months. Probably my family, too. But I'd be the happiest camper in the world. The power just went out. Stayed out. Once you know what's going on with Russia and shit, fucking Joe Biden entering that bullshit because he has financial interest in it. And he does. And everybody forgets, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, the big story was Joe Biden in Ukraine and Hunter Biden in Ukraine. And all this money they were funneling out of Ukraine. Fuck me. Sorry, I hit the button. And everybody forgets that. All this money the Bidens were funneling out of Ukraine. Now they're using the United States military to fucking dabble in their personal bullshit. And that's what's really fucking happening. That's what's really happening. Nobody will say that to you. Nobody will say to you that Putin is trying to destroy the 1% of the U.S. That's what he's trying to do. Is this so hard to believe with all that we know the government's lied to us about? That we've been lied to about everything? Everything the government's ever said? Is it that far of a stretch? You people who have your kids, your daughters, your sons in the military right now, that are getting ready to go to Ukraine to fight a fucking NATO war because we have an alliance with other countries, because that makes a lot of sense, right? In a free country, our government makes alliances without our permission that then puts those people, those countries, and their interest and wealth above the rights of the people in this country. That don't make much sense to me. I'm just blown away at what we continue to deal with. But we're going to continue to deal with it. Why? Because I can't handle it myself. And if you could, you can't either, because you're way over to wherever you're at. And there's more bootlickers like Mr. Country Songwriter. That's what he does. He says he's a lyricist, a lyric writer. Because there's too many of them. And nobody's willing to make sacrifices. Plain and simple. Nobody's willing to sacrifice anything. Unless, I mean, if it's, man, I like that Grand Prix. I need another Grand Prix. Mine be broke. It's at the shop. They called me last week after, it's been there since September. They called me last week like, hey, we put about 4 hours into this car and can't figure out what's wrong with it. I was like, so what does that mean? Like, well, we can't figure out what's wrong with it. I said, I thought you all were specialized. That's what you told me. I actually came there first. I was like, hey, this little problem here, and it's electrical gremlin. So if you ain't the guy, just let me know. I go somewhere else. Now they're not the guy. Now my car is stuck there. I got to figure out how to get it out of there. And I'm sure it's probably full of mold and mildew and all kinds of shit by now too. I'm sitting there. But hey, you know. Yeah, I gotta come up with some cash. I gotta get my ass to work. It's been time to go back to work. I've been trying to get all the shit done before I did. But I gotta come up with some cash now. Oh man, there's a fucked up Peterbilt. Hey, that sucks. The headache rack was to the back of the cab. Thank God it had a headache rack on it. Damn, what we getting done down there? I love driving around these back roads. I'm not really being nosy. Like, I just like seeing, like, you find seeing a lot of old shit around here. Like look at this. There's 2 empty mobile homes just sitting there. They look like you could probably move into them. For some reason, gutters is not a big thing around here. I gotta get gutters on our place. I don't want to put a whole shit ton of money into it because we're not planning on staying in it, but probably. Well, the plan was a year. That was before I broke myself. Give my mom some money. So, well, I guess I really just gave her money back. She was gracious enough to give it to me when I sold the house, and I just gave it back to her when she needed it. Old Monte Carlo. Ooh, old Cavalier Z24. Where loves that? I love those cars. I don't know, people. I guess the rant's over for the day. I ran out of rant. I can rant about something else. What do y'all want to talk about? Oh, there's my Liberty chick that's supposed to be sleeping. What are you doing? You're supposed to be sleeping. It's sleepy time for you. She stayed up all night working around the house. Look at this place right here. This is a house. I don't know why you're able to see it. We're almost on the deck. I'll go see it. Got a house. We got a lake. I don't know who lives there, what they did for a living, but they obviously did it right. I gotta go get something. I'm hungry. I don't think we got some grocery. No, it's grocery day. That's another thing we gotta do today. Go to the grocery store. That shit's expensive too, man. You walk into any grocery store,
and it costs you an arm and a leg, which is why this year is going to be our first year starting to grow our own food. We're trying to supplement some of the food we buy with food that we grow, and hopefully it works out. I'm trying to figure out exactly when I need to start my seeds because nobody can really tell me. I'm getting a lot of conflicting information. But hopefully it works out. Just raise business. Customers down, get laws. Because I have the soil and forest, but it's really not. So I got to get a hold of some wood chips. I'll probably do is just cut some trees down, pile everything up, and rent a wood chipper for a day. But really, I need more than that. I need truckloads of wood chips. So I need to actually call a tree company probably to be my best bet. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I want to get off here though. My wife's still awake. I don't want to call her. You guys are somewhere where it's nasty out. Be safe and watch out for other drivers, man. Because they cannot drive. There's ice or snow. It's like you just, I don't know. People just can't drive. It's on Jim. First day comes. I don't want to see those anymore. But stay safe, y'all. Stay well armed. And listen, if you want to be free, you're going to have to sacrifice. The days going to come where your life or death is going to be right in that. Free life means depression. You will know that by what happens. There's a lot of people with tyranny who, when the day comes, will fold. And if in your mind you question yourself up until that day comes, you will fold. There's no doubt about it. You will fold. Know where you stand. Know what hey, real oak tree over back there fell over. Know where you stand. Know what your position is. Know what you support or you don't support. Because start calling these bitches out. It's like Bjorn. That dude he supports the very shit he claims to be against. Which most people do that. They always support shit, but it's because of indoctrination of what we've been led to believe. So freedom isn't you being free. Freedom is me being allowed to do what I want to do. In the minds of most people. That's not what freedom is. And freedom doesn't always benefit you. Sometimes freedom, I know that don't sound fun. How does freedom not benefit you? Well, if you're free to do what you want in your lane, and I live next door to you, and I hate the music you blare 24 hours a day. You got rap music blaring at 3 o'clock in the morning. Does that freedom benefit me? No, not right then and there. It doesn't. But it still benefits us all. But it's not seen that way. Like Bjorn, we should not allow people. What he actually said was we should not allow people to drink or do drugs because they act stupid when they do. But he's allegedly pro-freedom. No, you're not pro-freedom. You're the fucking very same thing you claim to be against. Because those people believe they should make the decision for you that you need a jab because you're too stupid to make your own decision. I don't know what else to say. Welcome to my nightmare.